To learn more, visit HYLANT.com.
And welcome back, folks, to the Michigan Insider Sports Talk 1050 WTKA, online at WTKA.com. Sam Webb, Mr. Ira Weintraub on the other side. And you know how we do it on Tuesdays. Tuesdays, we go down to talk about the game within the game. You know, there's the big, broad game where you see the shots down the field. You see the big plays, the cameras on the quarterback. But the guys that make it go are the guys in the trenches. That's the game within the game. And the guy who comes on every week to help us break that down played that game within the game at the University of Michigan, where he captained that line. He was the quarterback of that line. He likes it when I call him the quarterback. I'm talking about Jack Miller. Jack, how you doing this morning?
Good, Sam. How you doing, man?
I'm doing. Hey, look, bro, it's always better after a win. So you haven't had the experience of having to do one of these after they lose. Let's knock on wood. Yeah. I hope that doesn't happen, right? But so far, so good. This was a game, and I said this to Devin yesterday, Jack. This was a game where coming out of it, I think it's important not to move the goalposts. You got a lot of people saying, well, you know, Wisconsin's not as good as we thought they were. I think Wisconsin's defense is as good as we thought it was. Yeah. And because of that, this was a significant test for Michigan to pass, and they were able to do so.
Yeah, we had this one circled all season as really the benchmark to figure out where the team was. And, you know, you like what you saw. I agree. I don't think Wisconsin's a world beater this year, but that defense, they are. That's a really, really good defense. And so to put up that kind of points, to be able to move the ball when they needed to get in the end zone, more importantly, which is all that really matters, against a really good defense. I think they were the number one rushing defense in the country, right? That's a good thing. So I agree. I don't think you move the goalposts either way. I don't think you take away from what Wisconsin is or who they are. And I don't think you start looking forward too much at this point either. You take what's going on right now is really good. They're playing at a high level. They're playing with confidence. They're playing as a team. They're having fun. And you just go week to week, right? You get ready this week for the next and focus in on that. Don't get too far ahead of yourself and keep building on some good things right now.
Yeah, so, you know, I start out talking about their defense being as good as we thought it was, because you said something last week, and players say it a lot. Jack, you say, look, man, they got scholarship guys on the other side too. I mean, you know, they got recruited also. And Wisconsin was number one in the country is a rush defense for a reason. It's not just Jim Leonard. They have guys, man. They have guys. Right. And we saw that on a few plays, and some of the nuances of playing up front, I really wanted you to jump into. So there, to kind of jump right in, there was an early sequence of 4th and short. I think it was their second 4th down. So if you go to 4th and short, number 2, Jack, 4th and short, number 2, split zone versus 4-eye. And we talked to Devin about this yesterday. Now, let's just talk about 4-eye. Can you explain what I mean when I say 4-eye while I bring up the clip?
Sure. Yeah. A 4-eye is a little bit of unorthodox alignment for a defensive lineman. Typically, you'll see defensive ends be outside of offensive tackles, maybe directly over them, but most of the time they're outside of them. A 4-eye is when you have a defensive lineman on the inside shoulder of a tackle. Usually a defensive lineman in that gap is what they call a 3 technique, which is he's sitting outside of the guard shoulder. When you get into a 4-eye, you're on the inside shoulder of the tackle. And, you know, when you talk about it like that, it doesn't sound all that complex, right? But for years, blocking schemes have been based around having defensive linemen on the guard or outside of the tackle. So when you muddy the waters like that and put a guy inside of a tackle, it just makes communication and getting up to the second level a bit harder. We'll see here on this play. Go ahead and run it.
Go ahead and run it right now, Jack.
So the first thing to say, when you get in these 4-eye looks, this is not a great play to run this into. You'll see in the replay here, Hayes gets beat at the point of attack. That's the number one problem, right? Now he's on an island there. When you're 4th and 1, you want as many double teams as you can get. You don't have one there. You got your left tackle out leveraged, an inside guy. He's trying to wash him down the line of scrimmage. And this is the number one rush defense in the country for a reason, right? They're good. That front seven's really good. They penetrate. they get there, you really don't have much of a chance there, being out leveraged. And then because he's in that 4-eye, the Stardust and the left guard here should be trying to get up to that linebacker, but they're forced to go straight ahead, and there's nobody to account for that other linebacker here. Like I said, even if Hayes doesn't get beat, you see the open man. They don't do a good job on either linebacker. The one's going to be unblocked. The other one's going to get off of the block. It's just an out-leveraged look to run into this play. You'd like something a little more like we saw later, some of those wedge plays where you can just get downhill and get a yard really quick, right? This is just kind of too muddy for 4th and 1 for my taste.
Yeah, so, here's the thing that is very interesting about this, because Michigan adjusted off of this. Now, Devin said, I said, let me ask a lineman about this. Devin said, hey, I would love to see, them, instead of having the double team up to the linebacker, talking about Vistardis and Keegan. He said, I'd love to see Keegan come off of that and double team that 4-eye, because that inside shade of that 4-eye. So basically you got Ryan Hayes lined up, folks, and just imagine a player lined up over his inside shoulder in the gap. And Ryan Hayes has to get across his face to cut him off, right, Jay? He has to get across his face to cut him off.
In an ideal world, or at least just get enough wash, right? Just run him down the line of scrimmage. But what you can't do on 4th and 1, which is what happens, is give up any kind of penetration. That will almost guarantee to stall out a 4th and 1.
Right. And so he said, well, how about Keegan and Hayes double team that 4-eye? But then you leave Vistardis 1-on-1 on the nose. Yeah. Is that an ideal scenario for you, Jack, having played center?
Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know what their right call should have been here. And most importantly is to make sure that they go with consistently what they know, so that they're always on the same page. Right. When you start getting off and doing weird things is when you get yourself in trouble. That being said, I don't disagree with what Devin's comments about that. You'd like to see a stronger double team, even if you don't get up to the linebacker. Without that penetration there, you're going to let your running back get downhill and have a full, head of steam. He can hit somebody, break an arm tackle, fall forward. The last thing you can afford, like I said, is this penetration, which just muddies it up, right? So if that double team is able to get some movement, even if you don't get to the linebackers, you're giving your running back a chance. I do like that call.
Right. And so, again, if you look at this play, and you guys can go look at it on the film, and they were getting great movement elsewhere on the split zone. I mean, they're moving the line of scrimmage. You only need a yard, but that block was the one that winds up, blowing up that particular play. Michigan comes back to this and I'm going back to the well on this, Jack, because they wind up making some adjustments here. All right, they wind up making some adjustments when it comes to running split zone on that 4-eye, because that guy is good. Look, Ryan Hayes, in my opinion, Ryan Hayes is a pro.
Yeah, I agree.
Jack. I think he's going to be in the NFL. I think that guy that he was playing, I watched Taylor Lewan a couple weeks ago go against a guy named Chandler Jones. I think Chandler Jones has 6 sacks on him, Jack. I mean, it was this crazy thing.
Jack, I think it was only 5, but
okay, well, still, you get my point. Sometimes, man, you go against a dude that's like, hey, coach, this guy that we're going against today, he's just really good. We got to figure out something different to do. Right. So here's another example of what I'm talking about. They're in the red zone this time, split zone again against that 4-eye look. And look who it is, Jack, coming down to make that play. That guy's just really freaking good.
No, he is. And that's not, with that 4-eye there, it's just not an ideal look to run this into. You had mentioned earlier in the show, Jim Leonard, the defensive coordinator from Wisconsin, kind of an up and coming guy. Probably might be the next guy at Wisconsin when Paul Chryst is no longer there. But yeah, he does an okay job there. He's trying to string him down the line. But anytime, you as a defensive lineman love when you don't have to take on double teams, particularly in short yard situations. Now, I know this is 1st and goal from the 5, but you're expecting a run from Michigan here. Anytime you can go one-on-one with a man as a defensive lineman, you love where you're at, particularly when you're running the ball left like that at the point of attack, right? You want as many double teams as you can. And quite frankly, they're just a bit out leveraged here. It's kind of the same situation. That middle linebacker is not accounted for. There's nobody there to block him. So this is just not the right play that you want to run into this look. Now, when Gaddis calls it, he doesn't know what they're going to come out in, right? But, this is just one of those ones, hey, the other team's good too. They're well coached. They got good players. Not an ideal look to run into this. You're asking your left tackle to do a little too much. and nobody's there to account for the Mike side linebacker.
Well, see, I think when it comes to the Mike linebacker, I think they're like, hey man, first of all, they expect we're hoping that one of the linemen can get up to, but if they can't, I like my chances. I think one-on-one Hassan Haskins versus the linebacker. Problem is, Jack, to your point, you can't get to that because on the first play, you saw Ryan Hayes kind of step with his outside leg, and it kind of opened up his inside shoulder, right? So the leverage advantage that 4-eye had on him to sort of get inside, it was
it's already there. It's already there. And then you can see just based on the positions of the linebackers here and loading up a box, right? It's 1st and goal on the 5. There's obviously not a deep threat. There's not much of a passing threat at all. You can just load up that box and guys are looking to come downhill there. You can't account for everybody. You just, try to get some yards and live to fight another day.
Yeah, this one, he actually steps right though. And I guess the thing that I'm getting at here is this is when I think you realize as a coach, hey man, I can't keep asking. You see everything there. The weakness is going to be in this particular play. The weakness is going to be that one-on-one block on that 4-eye. You got double teams elsewhere. You like your matchup with your running back, with the linebacker if it comes to it. Your weakness is that matchup because he has that inside position. As a coach, you got to be like, okay, if that guy keeps winning, I can't keep asking my guy to do that, right?
Well, you talk about adjustments all the time, right? Coaches making adjustments. What does that mean? That means, okay, we've ran this play twice in this formation, and this is how they've lined up. We know that we're not matched up well here, right? This is not in our favor. Scratch it. Let's try to find something else in those situations. Throw that one away for the afternoon, right? Those are the types of adjustments coaches are looking to make.
Right. And so they did. One of the ththings they did, I don't have it in the sequence, is they started blocking that different. I couldn't put that in the sequence. I'll illustrate it later with Gaddis, but it was interesting, Jack, when they ran split zone, they almost started trapping that guy, that 4-eye, because they would, instead of having the motion man come over and kick out that edge guy, that stand up on the outside, they would have Ryan Hayes block the outside, block that edge guy, and have the motion guy come over and kick out that 4-eye. And that was an adjustment that they wound up getting some good yardage on.
And I like that idea because it essentially neutralizes that stud 4-eye, right? If he's going to get kicked out, trapped, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be his decision where he wants to go. Fine, we'll run off of that, right? It somewhat neutralizes him. It doesn't allow him to stand at the point of attack and cause chaos. Hey, if he wants to get underneath this thing, if he wants to stay outside of it, fine, we'll read it and adjust to that. It's a good adjustment.
Yeah, and another adjustment they came up with, Jack, is they were able to basically, you call it wedge blocking. You mentioned it. You mentioned it earlier, man. And that's just like, hey, man, look, this dude keeps doing his thing out here. The leverage advantage they have, we just need a yard, right? On some of these plays, if we just need a yard, what play do we have? And this was after halftime. I didn't see one of these wedge plays before the break, Jack. So to me, this struck me as one of those times where they went into the break and said, okay, what can we do? What can we grab from our grab bag in short yardage situations, in addition to having this lead on the split zone? What else can we do in a short yardage situation? And they started doing this wedge blocking here, Jack, if you can explain that in short yardage situation.
Yeah, 4th and 1. It's just situational football. All you need to know is get a yard. That's all anybody's thinking, right? So you just get a quick downhill run, and all you're telling your offensive line and anybody on the perimeter is just wedge. Just squeeze down. Do not give up the inside gap. If you can see it here, you see everybody just goes down. All you're doing is just chugging your feet, trying to get shoulder to shoulder, like a rugby scrum, move it forward. It's just situational football. We just need a yard, fellas. Now, what I don't really like is motioning A.J. Henning to the end and letting him try to take on an edge defender who's twice his size with twice his strength. I don't think A.J. Henning practices wedge blocking all that much, right? And it almost blows up the play, quite frankly, because he lets the guy get inside of him. You'd like to see him almost just take out the guys, just chop him down if you have to, or just run straight around and make the guy get around you. But it's a good job by everybody else. You see Vistartis, you see Hayes. That's a good job by Hayes, just getting movement, get guys displaced. get a first down. It's good situational awareness.
Yeah, man. Adjustments, bro. Adjustments. Because, hey, coach, all right, it looks good on paper, but we got to figure out something against this dude right here.
Yeah.
Kind of like they had to do or needed to do against Aiden Hutchinson, but couldn't.
Yeah,
right?
that's true. The other thing, too, there, Sam, just to note is that defense that they're running is a bear defense, right? So you basically got 5 defensive linemen down. So everything about double teams and who's going to be one-on-one and go, that kind of goes out the window. It's just everybody for themselves, get to the middle, get to the inside of your guy, and just push forward for a yard. But it's based on what the defense is showing you, too.
Right. The long and short of it, and just real quick, Jack, just to show you, and this is more giving a nod to, hey, man, Wisconsin's good on defense. On defense. Yeah. let's be clear. They're good on defense because, hey, man, it was a tough day for the tight ends, Jack. It was a tough day for the tight ends in this game. And I'll bring it up here really quickly so we can talk about it just briefly before the break and give that team on the other side a little bit of credit because they were number 1 in the country in defense against the rush for a reason. Yeah. Right? Gee, they got some guys over there that can really play. So
when you're number 1 rush defense in the country, that means not only, is your D line and your linebackers, stopping the run and doing well. That means perimeter guys are too, right? Everybody's committed to doing that. And I have been very complimentary of our tight ends to this point in the season, the way they've wanted to block, right? The way that they're chasing guys, the way that they're not afraid to stick their nose in. A lot of them are kind of glorified fullbacks. They're going on ISO plays, downhill at guys, not afraid of contact. But like you said, it was a tough day for them. This is a physical front from Wisconsin, and they pride themselves. They're going to hit people in the nose, right? They might not make the play, but you're going to feel them come downhill. And sometimes we miss it. You'll see on this play here, Schoonmaker just goes up and he just misses the guy flat out, right? The guy gets around him. I think, it's early in the game. They're trying to figure each other out. It's just a miss, right? You got to have that guy in space. He ducks his head. The linebacker just swims right over the top of him, right into the gap, and makes a play. Just a bad play. Okay, brush it off. You'll have that every once in a while. The second play here, I think, is just a miscommunication, right? I think it's a play. It's 3rd and 1. So it should be a little bit of that wedge idea, just get downhill. But they're out leveraged here. And what I mean by that is Vistardis it's running to the right, and Vistardis, when he's calling the play, they're looking down the line to get these double teams to linebackers. And you can see the 2 tight ends on the backside of this in a bunch formation are talking right before the play. So they're late on it. They're confused. They don't know where to go. Their footwork's bad. He steps under himself because that's your natural inclination instead of down and out towards the guy. And they just shoot down. It's 3rd and 1. Wisconsin's selling out for the run to stop it. And we just do a bad job communicating down the line. By the time it gets all the way backside to the bunch tight end formation, they're trying to figure it out. Boom, ball snap. They're late. Wisconsin pinches down, makes a play, right? So, I think it's a good look. I think that's a really good group of tight ends. They're doing a great job. Right. They are blocking hard. They're athletic. They're doing a lot of good things in the pass game too. But you're going to come up against a big bully sometimes who's going to smack you around every once in a while, and Wisconsin's defense did at times.
Right. And but we knew that for Michigan in this game, it was going to be tough sledding, running the football. They tried to get outside a few times. They blew that up. They made a few adjustments. The wedge was a good adjustment. I thought that split zone lead was a really good adjustment, but you aren't going to win this game running the football. You're going to have to hit some shots. And fortunately, they were able to do that. There were some plays available through the air. They were able to capitalize. But that's a good defense. I keep coming back to this point. Those guys over there, especially in the front 7, can really play. Thing is, you look at Michigan. They got some guys that can really play too. And they just couldn't. Jack, we're going to bring this up right now. We're skipping the break. They could not do anything with Aiden Hutchinson. I guess no one really has been.
Nobody can.
But
nobody can.
His
ability to be as strong as he is at the point of attack, never give up penetration, and then get off of blocks, change direction like a linebacker, have closing speed when he's running to the ball like a linebacker, and then he's smart. He's when you watch him on film, he's crazy smart and instinctive, and plays with a motor. He does not play timid, or he's not thinking, right? You can just tell how naturally it comes to him. boy, is he a special talent and is doing a lot of good things for this defense.
Yeah. So we'll start out with Aidan. And so you mentioned how strong he is, how quick he is, but how smart he is too is important. You can't fool this dude, right? All right. So they run this trap pass on him. So this is kind of like a sequence where that we're going to bring up here in succession to show you, again, everyone knows how gifted Aidan is athletically, but these plays also further demonstrate what a smart football player he is too. This probably worked on other guys. It didn't work on Aiden Hutchinson. Did not work on Aiden Hutchinson in this game. I'll share this footage right now. They were able to get this play off, Jack, but barely. With the quarterback still paid the price, as he probably thought on this play. Okay, we're trapping him. He's not going to get to me, but he did.
Yeah. He's just got so much closing speed, right? So they act like they're going to trap him, but the running back sees him coming. They're going to do a play action. The running back bails out of the play action to help to make sure that Aiden doesn't get there too quick. So what does that trigger in his mind? Well, it can't be a run. The running back just bailed out of it, right? So he immediately reacts. He's going to go hit the lineman and make sure that he can get in on it if it's a run. But the minute the running back doesn't accept the fake at all, it clicks with him. It's a pass. It's play action. So what's he do? He just works right back outside of that trap block and is able to get to the quarterback, who throws a great ball, but takes a hit for it from Aiden for sure. It's just really instinctive. And, he stops his feet to take on that trap. And then once he recognizes it's pass, for him to restart his motor and have that closing speed to still affect the quarterback, it's just rare to see. He's just a super talented, super smart player.
That was an excellent description of what a really good play that was, right? Yeah. All right, yep. So now let's come back, and they try to get Aiden again with a counter, right? So they're coming across to get him, and this time he recognizes run, he triggers run, and he blows this play up. Now let's keep this in mind as I share this screen. And keep in mind that they're going to come back, Jack. They're going to come back to that trap pass again. Yeah. Right. So they're trying to set him. Okay, he got us the first time. Let's come over and try to get him with this counter. Right. Let's come over and try to get him with this counter.
So again, just a smart play on Aiden's part. He's lined up as the field side defensive end. Now this is a blitz. Dax Hill's coming on a blitz here, which means that Aiden knows he's got free reign. You see Dax Hill trigger the minute the ball snapped. Dax Hill's coming from that, nickel position, whatever they want to call it, and he's got contained. So Aiden knows I can just go make a play, which is something Mike McDonald's giving Aiden Hutchinson is a lot of freedom, rightfully so, because the guy just makes plays left and right. So they're covering him up all the time so that he can just go play football. So Dax comes on the blitz. Aiden's going to stunt in anyway, but when the tackle blocks down and the counter comes, he just says, I'm just going to go blow this thing up. I got my guy Dax coming to keep contained. I don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go down and hit these guys as hard as I can and blow the whole thing up. Now, it does help if you look at the rest of the defensive line. There's absolutely no wash, no movement going on. So when Aiden caves in that guard trying to trap him, it's just a big, sea of humanity, nowhere to run the football. And it's just a great job by that front seven up front. And it starts with Aiden there, but it's the smartness. It's this defense playing as one. I got Dax Hill behind me for contain. I'm going to go blow this thing up. And then there's nowhere to go on the other side because the rest of the defensive line is stout too.
Another great description, but this is an example of what I say about you guys in the trenches, Jack. Often it's the case you make the play, but you don't get the stat, right? Aiden destroyed that play.
Right.
He destroys that play. I mean, he blows up the seam on that play. The guard, I think that's the guard coming around, doesn't come around as he blows up. And who was that coming across? Was it the guard coming across, or whoever lineman was coming across?
It's the guard, it's the guard coming to trap him, and then the tight end backside, just like Michigan does a lot, is coming to roll around and fill up the seam. Right. But the tight end can't get anywhere either because guess what? The guard's on his butt a yard in the backfield because Aiden blows it up, right? So it takes two blockers out of the play essentially. And anytime you can do that, like you said, you won't end up on the stat sheet, but that's a guy making a play.
That's a guy making a play. So now let's come back to the trap pass because now they try to get him on the trap pass once. He recognizes very quickly, as you said, very intuitive. He sees, hey, man, all right, this back. This dude that's a pass. So he goes out and pressures the quarterback. Then they come back with the counter. He knows where his help is. He blows up. He sort of wrong arms it, blows it up by shooting inside. Now they come back with a trap pass again, Jack. And so it's like you guys have you've been taken advantage of twice by Aiden Hutchinson. You would think they would get the picture. They don't, and he makes them pay the price, Jack. So let me bring this up. This dude played a hell of a game. I guess we can say that. We can say that about him every game, right?
Yeah, exactly. But it was like I said earlier, you talked about Michigan trapping that 4-eye eventually. The idea is, hey, if that's a good player, try to neutralize him, try to take him out of it. But when Aiden's just so disruptive that it doesn't matter what you're doing with him, he finds ways to impact the play all the time.
All right, so here we go, Jack. I'll go ahead and start running it. Let's start back here at the beginning. And here we go. And we just went slow motion here. Not sure why, but
it's all right. It gives us time to take a look at it. So, yeah, it's play action up the middle. They pull the guard around to the right side like he's going to do something. But again, Aiden's got all sorts of freedom. I think Coach McDonald has schemed up to get him in situations where he can just go play. He's not necessarily responsible for contain a lot of times. It's go be instinctive, go make a play for us. So he's the field side defensive end. They snap the ball. They bring the left guard around to block. It's play action. That guard's content to let Aiden stay outside and just float out there into pass protection. But he's just too good, right? He takes on the block. He pushes the guard back, which shortens the corner, and then he's able to get under him for a pass rush there. But that type of ability where you have to stop your feet to take on a block, figure out, is it run, is it pass, and then recognize it's pass quick enough, and then be quick enough to restart your motor, get around the corner like that, and make a play. It's special. There's just no other way to put it. It's just a super talented guy on the field. And for those of you watching here, you see he takes it on, he pushes him out. Now, this is not a great job by the quarterback. He should be stepping up in the pocket, but guess, who we got there? Who's running through? That's Mozzie Smith, I think. He beats his man too, right?
Yeah, it was the video. This particular file is kind of going finicky on us all of a sudden. But yeah, I think it was Mozzie that was running through as well.
Yeah, Mozzie's running through up the middle, so the quarterback should step up into the pocket. The guard kicking out Aiden's content to let him run around the edge like that, but there's nowhere to go again because Mozzie Smith beats his guy, and so if the quarterback steps up, he's going to take a sack from him anyway. This is the type of stuff where when it rains, it pours, right? Aiden Hutchinson being a stud, making plays all around the field. Yes, no doubt about it. And would he be doing that on his own as well? Yes, no doubt about it. All of a sudden, the attention goes to him. And now you got a guy like Mozzie Smith we haven't really talked a whole lot about making plays, making a difference. Again, not on the stat sheet, doesn't get the sack. Aiden gets the sack. But he beats his guy, allows the quarterback to not profile up in the pocket, keeps him back, keeps Aiden's rush around the corner, short enough to get to the quarterback and come up with a sack. So it's not just one-man stuff. As good as Aiden's playing, it's team defense right now. There's no doubt.
You mentioned Mozzie Smith. So how about Mozzie Smith sniffing out the screen?
Yeah.
Jack, it was you're seeing a guy sort of come into his own here a little bit this season in Mozzie Smith.
Yeah, early in the game, right? 3rd and 4, fourth quarter. Wisconsin, they get creative as much as they want to run the ball downhill. They do some unique stuff every once in a while. Tight end Jake Ferguson's one of their star players. Try to get him involved early. It's probably just a really heads-up play from the defensive line. They snap the ball, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and then when the offensive linemen let you go as a defensive lineman, you always smell a rat, right? Something's wrong. Something's wrong here. Why did he just let me go? And it's a good job to retrace your steps. They always say for a defensive lineman, when you smell a rat, just start working backwards, trying to find where that screen's coming from. Mozzie does a good job. He's keeping his eyes on the quarterback. And good thing he did because if Ferguson got the ball, he had some room behind him. He gets his paw up and knocks it down and forces a 4th down, gets the defense off the field, heads up play. It's fun to see a guy like that, coming into his own. We didn't hear a whole lot about, didn't know what he was going to be like for the team this season, and then goes, to the road or on the road to Camp Randall and puts on a big performance. Him, Ojabo, guys that are really starting to come into their own and showcase who they are. You need that. You need guys to step up to be a great team.
All right, so I think I'm sharing it a different way, but this is the Mozzie Smith play. You see him.
Yep. All of a sudden you get let go. You know something's wrong, right? Anytime an offensive lineman just lets you get by him without resistance, something's wrong. So these guys just do a really good job. They backpedal, they back out, and they're just athletic enough to get their hand up and go bat that ball down. I think I can't see who. Mike Morris was there too. Just two guys making a really instinctive play. It's a good job. It's a good call from Wisconsin. I love that play in that situation, but Michigan's just smart enough and disciplined enough to sniff it out.
Here's the thing, Jack. That's going to be a huge play. If Miles Smith doesn't make this play, that's going to be a huge play for Wisconsin.
Yeah, the linebackers are caught up in the wash, all the motion, right? There's crisscrossing stuff, all this fake action. So their eyes are off the middle of the field. If these guys don't get that ball down, Ferguson's a great player. He's going to find some green grass and go make a play. So, again, just heads up play from the Michigan defensive line.
Yeah, it was great team defense that we saw by Michigan. We got to mention David Ojabo because as much as they had issues with, and Mike Morris had made some good plays in there. I think we caught Taylor Upshaw's name in there too. But after Aiden Hutchinson, it really was the David Ojabo show, and it felt like to me, Jack, a coming out party for this young man who's one of the better athletes on the team. But he's from Scotland. Just started playing football when he got over here, I think as a sophomore, I think, and was a track guy. At a sub-11 track guy, but been learning football. And boy, it seems like it's starting to click for him here in the Maize and Blue.
You got a sub-11 track guy who can play D-line and be that physically imposing. That's good recruiting by the Wolverines.
All right, so we'll go first with this is his first sack, Jack, that we will get to.
Yeah, he's just to the boundary side of the field. They actually have a tight end flexed out there, Ferguson, to create a little more space. So he's got even further to go. And this is just him just being more athletic, right? You talked about a track guy, a great athlete like we know. He gets around the tight end who's in this flex position and just outruns the left tackle there. It's a bad pass set by the left tackle. Wisconsin's offensive line, frankly, is not what we've seen in the past or what we come to believe from these guys. That's just being a better athlete, right? Gets around the corner, puts a move on him, gets under that block, right? You talk about D lineman trying to get skinny. He's able to get under and rip through that. It's bad footwork from the left tackle and bad ball offensively. Ojabo makes some play. It's just a better athlete making a play right there.
Right. All right. And so now we'll get to his strip sack, and they probably think, man, they got two guys that we can't.
Well, that helps, right? In third long situations or whatever, you're keying Aiden Hutchinson because you know what he can do and the havoc that he causes, right? What does that do? That frees up other guys to make plays. They're going to be one-on-one, and they got to show up here. It's essentially the same thing here, right? Him and Aiden both put on very similar moves, speed rushing, ears are pinned back, go get the quarterback. They both get to the edge of these tackles with ease. They knew the cadence. I think by the end of the game, Wisconsin, they had kind of figured out their cadence, so they're jumping the snap. Right before the tackles are even moving, they're out of their stance going forward, and they just both beat him around the corner. Aiden's there too. Ojabo does a good job. They teach you when you get to the quarterback, put on a hit, but more importantly than that, get the ball. Look for the ball. Keep your hands alive and swat at that ball. He's able to do it. Mertz tries to step up in the pocket, nowhere to go, and Ojabo just gets his big paw out there, gets his hand on the ball, and forces a turnover. It's great technique, great effort. Just an overall great play.
And Jack, now that we got the video kind of working, I just want to go back real quick and show this play where Aiden snuffed out the trap pass here. Now that we can actually show it, and the video isn't as finicky, so you can kind of talk him through it again.
Yeah, it's just an instinctive play. He's on the far, he's the field defensive end. He's trying to figure out if they're going to run that. The running back looks like he's going up the middle, so Aiden has to think about, what do I want to do with this guard coming over and trying to hit me? And again, just instinctive enough to figure out, this smells weird. This isn't a run. I'm going to get upfield. I'm going to take on a hit, start my motor again, get my feet going. And then once he's going after a quarterback, his closing speed and his demeanor about getting downhill and trying to get there, the effort that you see, not just Aiden, this entire defense right now, the effort that you see these guys playing with is so refreshing. After a year last year where I think a lot of Michigan faithful were disappointed, not necessarily in anything else more than the lack of desire that you saw sometimes, right? There were blank stares. There was a lack of enthusiasm. This team's not struggling from that, right? We all saw the jump around thing, right? We all saw the swagger and the demeanor that these guys have. They're playing for one another. They're fired up. It's fun to see. Is it perfect? No. But at this point in the season, it's what good teams do, right? They get wins like this, they build, they get better, they get better. Just the energy and the mojo keeps going the right way. So far, so good.
All right. So Nebraska, again, you look at the record, you might think, this is an overmatched team. Nebraska, they beat themselves a couple of these. They gave that game to Michigan State. I mean, they dominated Michigan State in the second half of that game. I think, Ira, didn't Michigan State have like 2 yards in the second half of that game up there in East Lansing a couple of weeks ago? And then Nebraska goes out and they kick to they kick to a guy where the coverage is going down on the other side, and Michigan State basically walks to the end zone. That's been the story of Nebraska's season until last week when they just really blew the doors off of a bad Northwestern team.
Yeah, it's a scary game. Anytime you go to Lincoln, very difficult place to play. A night game there, even more difficult to play. I don't know if Scott Frost is necessarily on the hot seat, but he needs wins, right? And Michigan, you're going to get everyone's A game no matter what, right? There's a reason it's a night game out there. There's no other reason for it besides the fact that they love that Michigan's coming to town and would love to play spoiler, right? So it's another opportunity. Excuse me. The positive in this is it's another opportunity to go on the road, to go into a hostile environment. I think it's safe to say Michigan is the better team, but that's why you play the game, right? To go in there, to play a smart brand of football, to showcase your identity, to play efficiently, to handle the crowd, to handle the noise, to overcome those things. Boy, you talk about a confidence booster at the right time of the year if they're able to continue on with what they're doing right now. But it's not going to be a walkover game. It's not. It's going to be loud. It's going to be hostile. They're going to be fired up. They're going to, come out with some things that they probably haven't shown all year, which Michigan's going to have to adjust to. So, these are the types of games we're getting in the gauntlet now, right? In October and November, where every week you got to bring it. But it seems like the reports are from men like yourself, Sam, that this team is really bought in right now, right? And they're doing the extra things, and they're studying extra film. They're working out more. They're committed to this season. They bought in. That's what it takes to go be successful week in and week out in the Big Ten.
Jack, tremendous job, man. Tremendous job every week. We learn something. We learn something about the game within the game in the trenches. Appreciate the insight that you bring to the show. Also appreciate what you bring to Highland. Tell the folks about the Highland Group.
Yeah, I'm actually sitting in the Toledo office here today. Highland's a independent, family-owned insurance brokerage. Been around about 85 years. Do commercial insurance, property casualty, as well as employee benefits and personal lines. So if anybody's got any insurance needs out there, or wants a second set of eyes or some options, feel free to go to Hylant.com, HYLANT.com. Love to talk to you.
You're the man, Jack. You're the man.
Appreciate you, Sam. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Thanks a lot. That's
All right,
Jack Miller doing it.